こんばんは、大田丸さん、ゾンさん。いらっしゃい。今日は、この間の実践トレーニング、英語構文の続きをやりたいと思います。どこまでいけるか分かりませんが、予定としては、第3章、不定詞中心の構文と、第4章、動名詞中心の構文、5章、分詞中心の構文をやりたいと思います。どこまでいけるか分かりませんが、やります。品質構文36 Something to drink. I'll get you something cold to drink. 基本106 I have nothing more to say about this affair. 107 標準 Shall I fix you something to drink? Said she. No, I'd like to have something to eat, I answered. 108 He struck me on the back and shook my hand. Hi, Charlie, he said. Hi, boy. I guess we'd better get something to eat around here. He's called 37. To know is 知っていることは何々だ。To know is one thing, and to eat is quite another. 109. 基本 To be successful does not always mean to get riches. 110. 標準 To be educated also means to understand something of how to make our intentions effective in the real world. 入試 111. To say that a man is a professional is to say that he is dedicated to his chosen field and performs at the highest level capacity. 青山学院大品質構文38 What to answer 何と答えたらいいのか I was quite at a loss what to answer 基本112 He was quite at a loss where to find a restroom 標準113 If the book can be found somewhere in the library, the car will tell you where to find it. 114 入試 Most college libraries provide a printed guide which tells where to find these materials or where to ask for them. To whom to leave 何々を残す人 She has no one to whom to leave the message. 基本115 Unfortunately, he had nothing with which to fasten himself to the peg. 標準116 I put up at a hotel for a few days in which to find my way about in New York. 入試117 This dramatic growth creates a very new climate within which to consider the terms and prices on which these raw materials are made available. 名古屋大品質構文40 Eat to live 生きるために食べる We eat to live and not live to eat 基本 118. He hurried to the airport to meet his friend from America. 標準 119. He came up to Tokyo all the way from Hokkaido to see his pen pal. 入試 120. A very distinguished looking Japanese came to see us. He had nothing in his hand wrapped up in embroidered silk. His scope 41. To be frank with you, I don't like his idea. 基本 121. To tell the truth, I don't like to get along with him. 122. To frank with you, his plan sounds absurd. I don't think we can put it into practice. 入試 123. The clock on the town hall said 3:45. It was time for us to make our way to my father's house, or to be more exact, my father's room. His scope 42. 2. 何々すぎて何々できない。何々するには何々すぎる。She is too young to get married. 基本 124. He was too modest to tell a lie and too timid to tell the truth. 標準 125. In the morning, they are too busy getting off to work to have time for conversation. 入試 126. Even if he is too lazy or too incompetent to shave himself and submits himself to barbers, he can hardly escape learning something about human nature by the time he is middle-aged. 名状題 Only two. 非常に何々で何々する。He was only too glad to promise. 127. 基本 She'll be only too glad to accept your offer. 標準 128. He was only too pleased to make up for the innumerable wrongs of the world. 入試 129. As a rule, I am only too anxious to find a reason to leave my room. No sooner am I in it than I began to cast around for one. 必須構文 44. Kind enough to. 親切にも何々する。He was kind enough to show me the way to the station. 基本 130. I have been fortunate enough to marry men who were well educated and cultivated. 標準 131. I was old enough to realize that this display of hysteria indicated his extreme anxiety. 入試 132. That is, they were old enough to recognize each other as individuals and not as mere symbols of romance, and yet they were romantic enough to be deeply in love. 句音元題。品質構文45 be likely to おそらく何々するだろう。The primer is likely to resign. 基本133 This is likely to continue until we have the same result. 標準134 Falling to return a spoonful of water to the sea was not likely to upset the balance of nature. 入試135 The patterns of behavior and the quality of living which he forms in these early years are likely to persist throughout his life. お茶の水代お茶の水女子代。品質構文46 Be glad to 何々して嬉しい。I am glad to meet you. 基本136 I'm very glad to hear that his brother passed the test. 137 標準 He said that he was very glad to see us, but did not say a word about his failure. 入試138 I was very glad to learn from an English historian his system of collecting facts. He told me that he bought all the books which he read and made a full index to each. 品質構文47 So kind as to 親切にも He was so kind as to offer his seat to me. 基本139 He was so kind as to show me the way to the post office. 標準140 Would you be so kind as to phone airport and book 2 flights to Rome for Friday? 入試141 In relation to nature, early man was so weak and nature strong as to make man almost her slave. In relation to nature, early man was so weak and nature strong as to make man almost her slave. 品質構文48 Only to find 何々だが何々だと分かっただけだ。He opened the door only to find the room empty. 基本142 She came up to Tokyo only to find nothing exciting. 標準143 The company marched into the village only to find nobody there. 入試144 The North American finds himself annoyed when he has made an appointment with somebody only to find a lot of other things going on at the same time. 中央大第4章49から52 62か49から62 80かちょうどいいかな。第4章動名詞中心の構文 Stop ing He 何々をやめる He stopped smoking at long last. 145基本 You better stop smoking. Smoking is not good for your health. 標準146 Quit thinking of yourself and think of others. Otherwise, they will think you are a selfish man. 入試147 I was pleased to think that my little sister had stopped crying because she knew I was her big sister. 共立上代品質構文50 Feel like ing I don't feel like 何々したいような気がする I don't feel like going out for a walk now. 148基本 I don't feel like going out for a ride with her. 標準149 Businessmen advertise to make us feel like buying what they sell. 入試150 When the time comes for art, each child gets paper and crayons, whether he feels like drawing or not. 品質構文51 On ing 何々するとすぐ On leaving school, he went into business. 基本151 On returning home for the trip, I found there was something strange going on in the house. 標準152 On approaching the shed, I found it had once been a boathouse. 入試153 On hearing the name of the street, badly at once proceed to describe the one, and only one good house to be found there. 品質構文52 It is no use ing 何々しても無駄だ It is no use crying over spilled milk. 基本154 It is no use pretending you know nothing about it. 標準155 It is no use being a writer if one is not in sympathy with the world in which one is living. 入試156 The way things are at present, it is simply no good pretending that science and literature represent complementary and mutually sustaining endeavors to reach a common goal. No good pretending.品質構文53 Worth ing 何々する価値がある This novel is worth reading again and again. 基本157 Whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. 158 標準 If the story is worth reading, it is so because it appeals to our curiosity. 159 入試 Many things are worth doing if you can do them possibly well with a little time and effort, which are not worth doing thoroughly. If so, to do requires much time and effort. 東海大品質構文54 be accustomed to ing. Be accustomed to ing. 何々することに慣れている。He's accustomed to sitting up late at night. He's accustomed to sitting up late at night. 160. 基本 The old man was accustomed to living alone in the country. 161. 標準 We are too accustomed to hearing America as a new world and of England as at least part of the old world. 入試 162. We are all accustomed to saying that a certain period or process lasts so many minutes and hours or days, and the meaning of these phrases is so clear that it seems hardly possible to explain them any further. We are accustomed to saying that a certain period or process lasts so many minutes or hours or days, and the meaning of these phrases is so clear that it seems hardly possible to explain them any further. 東京工業大品質構文55 There is no ing 何々することはできない There is no accounting for tests There is no accounting for tastes 163 基本 There is no denying the fact that he is a man of generosity 164 標準 There is no denying that a woman's tears are an effective weapon 入試 165 Even though he had said very little, there was no mistaking what he meant. Coming from him, a man famous for his fierce wit, this was approval, recognition, and encouragement to keep on trying. 精神助題品質構文56 cannot help ing 何々せざるを得ない I cannot help admiring her beauty 基本166 I can't help feeling that there's somebody pulling the strings behind the scenes 標準167 I could not help feeling they understood that roses are the only flowers that impress the people 入試168 My state of mind was such that I could not help voicing bitterness and resentment to my friends. My state of mind was such that I could not help voicing bitterness and resentment to my friends. 関西学院大of one's own ing 自分で何々した Teaching is a profession of her own choosing 169 基本 Please come to my house and enjoy the dishes of my wife's own cooking 170 標準It is impossible for him to share their opinions, if he is convinced of the truth of his own reasoning. 入試 171. They live under conditions which are not of their own making, and which are but little changed by their efforts. 早稲田大 Mind 必須構文 58 Mind ing 何々することを気にする何々を嫌がるI don't mind doing the job for you 基本 172 Do you mind telling me exactly what happened on the morning of March 5th? 標準 173 I don't mind telling you the truth. What happened that night was too horrible for words. 入試 174 He will not mind giving you change from 5 pence or a pound perhaps, but will be annoyed if you offer him a 5-pound note. 武蔵野美術大必須構文 59 Prevent from ing 何々が何々するのを妨げる Illness prevented me from calling on you 175 基本 The heavy snow prevented the rescue party from arriving at the sea 標準 176 Its aim is to prevent anyone from going without medical services if he needs them, however poor he may be. 入試 177 I value too low the pleasure felt at receiving the kindness from others. Often too, shyness prevented me from expressing the gratitude that I really felt. 必須構文 60 Remember ing I remember seeing her once. 基本 178 I remember my brother often going out with her. 179 標準 I remember standing in the wings one evening when mother's voice failed her and went to a whisper. 入試 180 I remember him leading me by the hand and after a few words to the audience leaving me on the stage alone. Busy ing 何々するのに忙しい Children are busy doing their homework. 基本 181 He has been pretty busy doing the chores around the house. 標準 182 The professor is now too busy preparing his speech to care for his children. 入試 183 One of the thieves was struck by a heavy statue, but he was too busy helping himself to diamonds to notice any pain. 必須構文 62 Do the ing I'll do the shopping for you. 184. 基本 You go ahead and I'll do something you go ahead and I'll do some shopping. 標準 185. England does a lot of buying and selling with some countries and not much with others. 入試 186. People would stay for months at a time while my grandmother and girls did all the cooking. 近畿大今日ここまでか。はい。第4章か。第3章、第4章をやりました。はい、ありがとうございました。